How are you, Merlin man?
Hi, Alex. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
That's good.
It's one of those days where it's literally freezing, but there's snow on the ground, so there's an illusion of lots of sunlight. And the windows are not open, but the drapes are open. It's as if I am not touching grass, but, engaging with the outside world. It's very exciting.
Yeah, your environment is white. Are you allowed to open the
No
curtains?
comment. Am I? I
can't
did
hang
not
anything
check
on
with my
them.
landlord.
Yeah, right.
He caught me.
Kind of surprised he doesn't have, just, you come in one day and he's just finishing up installing like 9 cameras in the house.
Listen, my landlord, as long as he continues to not understand that his property values are skyrocketing, and he just keeps charging everyone the same amount. You know what, Dougie? Fine. Take down my Studio Ghibli prints. It's okay. I'm fine with it. Yeah. There's no damage to the wall. How are you, Merlin? We haven't talked for 2 weeks.
I am fine. I'm very well. Very well. Wait, I'm sorry. Wow. I've tried to do too much this morning, and now my brain's a little stupid. No, but I'm very, very well. What is if I could ask, what is the temperature there? If you know.
Ooh, I believe it is 10 degrees.
Oh, that's Fahrenheit.
Yes. No, I apologize. It is actually 20 degrees. Feels like 10 degrees.
Because of the wind chill, and you get that what they call the lake effect.
Yes, which I pretend to understand, but I don't. I like when someone says, "Oh, because of the lake effect," I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't exactly understand it either. I learned a lot about the Santa Ana winds this past week, and oh my gosh, what a fascinating phenomenon! I have a new favorite weatherman, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
Not only is he amazing, but he's gone straight onto my list of people with real names. His name is Dallas Rains, and his it's spelled Rains with an E. And I would encourage you to just do a quick Google on him because you're going to grok a lot about what makes this guy amazing from the '80s through today. But boy, is he ever... I've seen so many LA newscasters and weather people in the last week because I've been, shotgunning fire coverage. And Dallas Rains, man, to me, he should be up there with... I got to learn all the names. He should be up there with Perd Hapley and Mort Krim from Detroiters and that guy from Arrested Development. Like all people who were like real newscasters that then were on comedy shows. I would like to see somebody cast Dallas Rains. Isn't that a great name?
This man does not. I don't like the idea of, yes, you are destined to be something. But Dallas Rains, and yeah, that's his real name. This is his real name.
It's the name. At least it's his working name. He's got amazing shoulder pads in the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
He looks kind of like Barry Manilow in this autographed photo that he's endorsed to somebody. Let me tell you some things about Dallas Rains because you're not seeing Dallas Rains in motion right now. Dallas Rains is amazing. They call him out. And, the thing is, I don't watch like a lot of this kind of news, with like local people and, weather on the ones and all that kind of stuff. But boy, I was instantly in love with this guy and his moves. And I made Matt watch something yesterday because he does this thing. It seems like almost every weather person in my life anyway has like a bit. Like we had a guy in Tampa in the 80s, and his bit was he would be standing behind a map on glass, and then he would write all the temperatures backwards from the other side. And everybody was like, how does he do that? That's incredible. And people have different kinds of, like bits about wind or moisture, whatever. Dallas Rains, this motherfucker's using technology because he'll be in front of what I imagine is a green screen, right? And you see the beauty of him like stepping in, and all the weather people do this. All the ladies and the dudes all do this. You step in and out, and you're moving through, and you do this kind of like sideways thing, and you know how to position your body to look best on camera and stuff like that. And there's motion. But he does this thing where Dallas... I bet people in LA love this. If I lived in LA, I would love this, where he wants to show you the direction of the wind. and he does this thing where he keeps looking at you, and he extends his finger, and he starts drawing an arrow in the air, but where he's drawing appears on the map. So he can go like, swoosh, it comes down here and it goes through the canyons. And then he can go turn, turn, turn. Like he's making a spiral and the arrows go in a circle.
He's got an augmented arrow. He
does that. Yes. This is the thing. You don't think about, the technology that's all around us. It's not all just like heart pumps and AI. There's a lot of good shit out there. And Dallas Reigns, he's leveraging the shit out of that arrow.
Oh, and the tanning bed, sun bed tan. I'm
you're just saying nouns
by his skin. Well, his name is a oh wow! I
like the E. Can I also say I like the E also because I mean if you're going to be like I think Claude Rains, the actor, the guy who played the Invisible Man. Yes. Claude Rains, I think that's no E, but I kind of like the fact that there's an E in this. I think it makes it kind of extra fun. He is very, he has strong pigmentation, like a lot of people on the TV.
Yes. And I just can't help but notice that the 80s photographs are very different than the current ones. I am not dragging this man's appearance.
Want to see some photos? Do this. Want to see some photos of me?
Okay. Well,
his shit changes, man.
Well, yes.
Can I read you my entire list of people with good real names?
Oh, please.
Can I read you the entire thing? Hampton Fancher. You can stop me at any time. Hampton Fancher, Dexter Fletcher, Learned Hand, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus. That was a Roman. Evans, that was an actress. Vincent Dixie, Focus Solomon, Suzy Roach. She's one of the Roaches, the sisters that sing. Whitney Wild, Christian Dingus, Happy Felsh, Bobbity Salisbury. I won't do them all. I'll jump down a little bit. Carol Surface. I started writing down where I got it from. I wanted it to be clean, but now I'm realizing. Ben Montench. The guy who played keyboards for Tom Petty. Oh,
yes, of course. That's Ben Montench. Mm-hmm.
Carol Surface. Now, Toppy Smelly. I remember Toppy Smelly extremely clearly, and there are a handful of you out there that are probably having some kind of combination of PTSD and an erection right now, because I just said Toppy Smelly. Crisco had these commercials in the early 80s talking to real kind of folksy, rootsy people about cooking. And there's a woman who talks about how she uses Crisco in her recipes. And, and had her name on screen. Her name was Toppy Smelly. And I've always remembered that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. King Vidor, he was a director. I think he was one of the 3 people that worked on The Wizard of Oz. There's a New Jersey assemblywoman named Dawn Fantasia. A USA Today reporter named Riley Began. And an LA weatherman named Dallas Reigns.
Oh, man. Thank you for the service you've provided us. Did you make this into an app / spreadsheet?
No, but that's a good that's good. Oh, here's another good one. I got to go look up this guy. I think he might be English. His name's Pete C.
Like Pete C, as in one word, or Pete C?
His name's Pete. Stop talking.
Pete Seat. Oh, like Pete repeat, Seat. But with a Pete. Pete Seat.
It's not repeat. It's Pete short for Peter.
Pete Seat.
Seat short for cedar.
Yeah.
Like that Jewish meal where you have the bitter herbs. You sit around and have cedar. Trip Mickle. Everybody knows Trip Mickle.
Oh, of course.
Channing Frampton. Terrific name. I got a lot of good ones in here. Apollo Carry-On Quibeloy. Skip Muck.
That can't be right.
Bobbity Salisbury was a real person in the English peerage.
I've sent you a video.
That's it. Oh my God! How did you find it? Oh my God! That's Toppy Smelly.
Yep.
Do you see her name?
Chatty G, as we apparently started calling it at the same time.
Credit to Susan Roderick.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know she's an avid listener. But I think it's very important that we watch this because I've watched it without sound.
Oh, no, I don't want to have to cut. Yes. I don't want to have to cut it in.
It's going to be cut out. All right, 3.
What? No, wait, don't rule. I'm the editor. What are you doing?
Are you still the editor? All right,
Alex,
all
let's
right.
not. Let's not.
All
What
right.
are we just saying
All right.
words now?
No. Okay.
Let me ask you a question.
Then we won't.
Do you like the episode?
We won't top smelly.
Do you like the episode coming out before we're done recording, or do you like the episode? What? And I think it's the schedule says this one's late. I go, I have to write that down. That's you 2 weeks from now.
You're allowed to call me mentally ill for any reason on your favorite meta platforms now.
What?
I know that you're excited.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit that we liked. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Oh no.
I thought that was a bit that you were leaning into. I
am leaning into I am leaning into the bit. The bit being that now
you added it. Go ahead.
My God! That now Facebook.
I thought I was really stepping up. I thought I was.
Oh my gosh!
Approximately tripling my work each week is what I thought. But
oh my gosh!
Is that a problem? Did you want to get back into that? Remember last week when I was done editing it before we were done recording? Remember that?
Yes.
You probably don't.
Yes.
But
I thought we were doing the technology. I know you're gonna put.
Do you see the way Dallas uses his hips?
Moving right now.
No, don't create work for me. The guy uses his hips in a really effective way. Dallas Raines.
I'm not finding any.
Maybe there's a supercut
of this
we could
guy.
find. Okay, let's start the show.
This is Due by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, make a no-coding app.
This is Due by Friday.
No, you're out of that business, bitch.
I'm out of this business.
24. Something occurred to me yesterday. I was getting some food out of the refrigerator, and it was occurring to me that I've kind of been misgendering you in another way too, which is I realized I treat you like a little sister, and I realized I should probably treat you more like a little brother.
Here's the thing, though.
Yes.
Like how gender is a construct, I believe that most relationships. I wish. I think that most relationships we have built them like we've built sort of templates of them, and we've also built templates of human beings. So I am very much like a weird template of a person in my family, and no matter what gender or sexuality I inhibit, I won't let anyone else be queer.
Freudian slip.
There can only be one. All cats are girls.
Yes.
All dogs are boys.
Yep.
Also, all dogs have ADHD, and all cats are autistic. Like, this is known.
I think all cats are secretly, they don't act on it, but I think all cats are like, it's like in England, they call it being a nonce. I think all cats have ill intent, but not all act on them all the time.
Well,
like women.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. And so my question to you would be, what's the difference between a little brother and a little sister?
See, now you're way ahead of me on this one because I've never had either. Right. No, I've never had either, and I've always loved it. I think there have been times, there's no desire to have a sibling. I've never had a desire to have a sibling that is any greater than my desire to have, say, a given stuffed animal. It's like, you know what I mean?
Walk me through that.
Well, I remember there was one point
You're ahead of me.
I remember there was one point where I was so happy I actually got this one. Smokey the Bear, or as you say, Smokey Bear.
Yes.
I always liked Smokey Bear. I liked the way he looked. I liked his hat. I liked his outfit.
He was off duty last week. Oof.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think they eventually had to pull Smokey or change it because prescribed fires were confusing people. But there was a Smokey the Bear, like little doll. People now say plush. I always said stuffed animal, but like a little teddy bear sized. And I really wanted that. And I eventually got it, which made me extremely happy because I loved stuffed animals as a kid. It was my favorite thing. And
I love stuffed animals as a 34-year-old adult. I apologize.
They don't have to be stuffed.
Yeah.
You know, really any kind of toy-like diversion can be a delight. I love my toys.
I'm not going to make work for you, but
I've never wanted a brother and sister more than I wanted, say, that. In that, if I didn't get the stuffed animal I wanted, it would pass. And I found ways to just be a happy enough lonely boy. Which is a terrific song by the Smiths.
I thought you were going to go for Morrissey. Nope, it's the whole...
Well, he is the singer of the Smiths, Alex.
Team. I know
Were
that.
You aware of that?
I think there's a difference between the Smiths and Morrissey. It's just, I don't know, the
That's
same
a really
way
good point. Yeah.
there's a difference between Jeff Rosenstock and his friend who does fake problems that Ventures, what's their band name?
Yes.
I don't know. Oh gosh darn it.
Ventures. They did Wipeout.
No.
So I agree.
So why am I a sister?
I feel like, see, the thing is I have watched a lot of TV, as part of being a lonely boy, is I internalized a lot of TV and I craved a lot of for me, at least in my own canon, an example of this is like I would watch the Brady Bunch and be so envious, where I'd be like, oh my God, their house is like, it looks like a movie set. Like everything's always clean. You know what I mean? You got Alice. She's got a little door that goes into her facility. She comes out. Did you watch the Brady Bunch as a child?
No,
okay.
It was not around. I mean, it's one of those shows where it's so old that even on Nick at Night, it wasn't on anymore. But I did see the Brady Bunch movie, which is quite a ride.
Oh, there's several. There's some good YouTube videos about the history of Brady Bunch media.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
That's exciting. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
And that actually you're bringing up something that might key into one of my tech things. But anyhow, I feel like based on what I've seen, like the way that I so mercilessly harass you, I think, one is it reminds me of Madeline and her slightly older brother, Sam. They're the two closest together. She's the youngest. He's the penultimately youngest. And now they're dear pals, but he was just merciless with her. He would pull the worst pranks on her. He was so mean to her. But if anybody ever gave Madeline any flack, he'd beat the shit out of her. You know what I mean? And that's I'm Sam. I am Sam. It's like that movie. It's like that movie Sean Penn was in. I am Sam. I do that. Yeah. No, I wouldn't beat the shit out of anybody, but I would make fun of them until they got an eating disorder.
I was going to say, I wouldn't, I don't know if beating someone up would be nearly as effective as you destroying them emotionally. Not even because you couldn't beat someone up, but just that you would
we go to war with
effective.
The army we've got. I totally agree.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I'll work on it. Now, if I were going to treat you more like a little brother, wait, now hang on. Is Cancer Boy younger than you?
He is, yes.
So what are some
now
examples
it's weird
of ways
because we're
that
basically the same age because he is 30 and I'm 34, so it's
I know,
very odd.
time works like that and it's
so
fucked up. But what are some ways that Tommy would fuck with you when you were little? With hopefully just still some patina of love observable. Were you harassed?
Well, yeah, but in the again, like there's hey, everybody, don't listen. Guys, listen. Guys, girls, and
I swear to Christ, if you make work for me,
no,
I'm going to be
I'm not
so
making
cross
work.
with you.
Please, everyone, please know how welcome. If this is your first time, please know that we do a lot of bits, including me, about how I have been bipolar, lots of mental illness. This is not a mean. Stop.
You actually
stop.
are.
Don't
you
make
actually,
emotional
you actually
work for
have.
me.
Wait, so you do actually dissociate? Is that true?
Wait,
see, I thought we made all this
not
up.
Anymore.
I thought Tommy's cancer was made up just for the.
Oh, that would be funny. But okay, so Tommy
really
was a little dick because all of my siblings, though, because by the time I was like old enough to be a person to them,
Yes.
I was a little bonkers, and they just saw me as like the ill sister, sort of.
Were
like
you
I
the
was the
weirdo
smart
of
one
the
and the
siblings?
weirdo.
Okay.
I was the weirdo because I liked school and because I didn't date anybody and then because I was bonkers. But then it's completely...
You sound a lot like somebody else that I know. Who's really good at school and has absolutely no interest in dating anyone.
Yes. Oh gosh. All right. This is for the after show.
It's like, I was like, hey, you want to watch the next Bob's Burgers? And he goes, no, I'm taking another SAT practice test. Fucking piece of shit.
Oh God, isn't it terrible how talented and wonderful?
Oh man, I can't even talk. I won't talk about it anymore.
Oh.
What a terrible way to treat you. Let me ask you a question.
Wait.
Sorry, are you there? Yes.
Oh yes. Me here.
Hi.
But in adulthood, it has absolutely flipped. In that I know this may sound shocking. But I'm like the relatively normal one in the family because I haven't I don't because I haven't gotten cancer. I don't have kids. Like I'm not very exciting. So I get to be the one now who defends them, and I'm like I will fucking destroy you. I have I've destroyed some people emotionally, but
I heard you can get pretty mean. That's what I heard. I've always suspected that's one reason we sometimes don't record is you're afraid to be mean to me. Is that true? It's a guess.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I postulated that with a friend of yours recently.
Yeah.
I think one reason maybe
one?
not going to say, but
your old new friend.
No.
Your
old friend.
My old. Hey, I'm not going to make work for you, but no, there's no, I'm
had recent concern. I called Karen. We visited for a while.
What?
Anyway, my point is, I'd tell you about it, but you wouldn't remember it. The problem.
God.
This is we're trying to tear up the highway as we're driving down it.
Oh no! No, I was good. I was good.
You are good. Stop worrying whether you're good. You're not letting me ask my controversial question. Are Catholics meaner? Because it seems like, I hear Conan talking about his family. It's not just, but you hear this about these Catholics with, and maybe Mulaney to a degree,
yes.
But you hear about people from Catholic families of more than 2 kids, and it seems like they're all just horrible to each other. Do you think that is that part of the liturgy? How does that work?
I think it's actually partially because, yes, we're all told that we must hate ourselves. So then, we're going to hate each other, because if we're hating ourselves for being ourselves,
that's part of the Catholic
siblings,
dedication to service. Yes, Thomas Merton talked about that. Yeah.
And it was almost also like we thank God there was no physical abuse within my family, so it was almost though like discipline came in just the emotional I don't like the Mulaney way, like the Conan way, where it was just like
like a classic, and of course this is a bit, I'm not only am I just quoting someone else's comedy, but I imagine this is slightly exaggerated, but the time John's Father the Lawyer, so many great John's Father the Lawyer stories, bone dry. I can still feel the TV still hot. But the one where he's like, Leonard Bernstein had some of his most success in life when he was repressing his homosexual tendencies. He's like, I don't know what to make of this. Which direction should I go with this? John Beard is the name of the newscaster on Arrested Development, who was also an LA newscaster. Did you ever watch Detroiters?
No.
Oh man, Detroiters is good. You know what it is? It's Tim Robinson and
yes.
Okay,
and Sam. Richard Splett.
Richard Splett. I'm going to be sad when he dies, but I'll be glad to get my hands on that handle. I think we're very close to my all-time favorite Richard Splett line, because we're in the amazing Nevada recount season right now. And there's one, and it's like I'm trying to like clue them, like, you guys, you got to really watch, because Richard Splett's lines go by so fast, but each one is so magical. Actually, cushion goes with that chair. So, but there's this one where he's like, he keeps talking about Granny Splett. I think it's when he's gonna. So, I think it's when the way he does it is so good. I think it's when he's about to run for mayor of his town in Iowa. Remember the dog? Selena gives chocolate to the dog that's the mayor, and it dies. But like, what is it he says? I can't do it anywhere like him. I'll see if I might. No, I'm not going to try to find it for notes. I got to get past this. But he's just something like, Granny Splett had a rare disorder called Lindrome syndrome that caused her to rhyme everything, and now I'm realizing she just made that up. So what a great Lindrome syndrome.
So.
Oh God! And we're into the part where Jonah's running for Congress. But I digress. I don't know. Catholics seem all right with me. And what are we talking about? That's the thing.
Once we have all worked through our damages, it's kind of like we're all, or at least a lot of people in my world, are kind of recovering Catholics, and we're still like, have a semblance of like spirituality and stuff, but we're all like, ooh, man, that sure was some weird. that's the church sure was weird, but now it's almost like, oh, we're almost doing we're nice to one another again, because it's like, oh, we didn't have to hate ourselves, we don't need to hate each other anymore. So it
also helps that you get time between when you were all living together and now that you're not all living together. Most people get some kind of an interregnum that gives them a little bit of distance, which sometimes makes the sting a little worse, but other times makes the sting sort of wear off, and like, I don't know. And then sometimes we just all fake it like we do.
With us, it wasn't even it was just like a lack of relationship. It wasn't even there wasn't even enough like emotion behind to have like resentment. It's because it sounds like Madeline and her siblings, there was like 45 of them, correct? Or 12?
There's 9? There's 7 of them with 14 total years. So
see, I always think
my
that
sister-in-law that you've heard me talk.
10.
Yeah, my sister-in-law is 14 years older than Madeline, and then there's 5 others between the 2 of them.
Oh my God, that's
and they weren't even Catholic. I think they just liked intercourse.
Yeah.
Gosh, I miss her. So was it determined that we want to talk about technology on the after show? Was that what was our? Did we make a determination? Oh, sorry. Hey, everybody. Can I talk about something outside the band?
Please.
I don't know what made me say this, but I said to you that I'll quote myself. Suggest that tomorrow be a quote catching up with new technologies episode. Which we don't want everyone to be like that, but I said here's the part. I feel like there's some good recent LLM stuff, and other stuff that I feel like we haven't really talked much about lately, and I didn't know if that would be interesting to you or to the audience, but. We could, and then I spent a lot of this morning delaying the show because I kept thinking, it was like I was trying to lance a boil. I wanted to get all of the information out of me, and I kept pursuing and pushing and squeezing to get more information out of me, and now I have way too much stuff than I could ever use.
Oh, so so have you like popped the bubble or like have you
I've heated the needle. I pressed it into the carbuncle, and now I'm gently pushing. But I'm also putting alcohol on it.
Okay, so you're doing the fully endorsed like Dr. Pimple Popper type thing.
I don't know.
Why? Neither do I.
Well, I've refused to know.
I'm so upset. I don't like thinking about it, but I did it. I did it to myself. So let's proceed, and then.
Oh God! Don't be organized. It sickens me. I wrote down stuff on note cards. I wrote down stuff on paper. I wrote down stuff in the drafts document. Did you? Oh yeah. So anyway, to answer your query, it's been a couple weeks, and I'll tell you why. Because last week Madeline had the flu, and we know this because she went to the doctor, and the doctor said you have influenza A, and she was just sick as fuck. She's still coughing like crazy. Oh, and God. I thought I was sick at least 1.5 times last week because the flu is pretty contagious.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I know she ain't faking, or unless she's double faking and saying the doctor, gave her this diagnosis that she made up. But she went to the ER, or as you say, the ED. Oh, I hate saying that. Went to the emergency room, urgent care, emergent dogs. But like she went to that. And they said, yeah, you totally got the flu. And like she couldn't swallow. It was like really bad. And I was like, if she's sick, Billy and I are absolutely going to. Because Billy's on Muni every day. And I am near them.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get sick. It's the weirdest thing. Neither did Billy.
Ooh.
But I thought I was sick. The point is, I thought I was sick. We had numerous mutual delays last week that we kept pushing off. We kept pushing, and then finally I said, actually, you seem kind of busy. Plus, I think I might want to take some baths. And you were very nice about it.
This is interesting.
It is.
People
love it when people in their late 50s talk about health.
Oh, yeah. And they also love when people talk about weather, and it's just
root talk.
Wonderful
How did we get here?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. But
Alex and I are referring to a very funny episode of This American Life. What is it, the 5 topics you should never discuss?
No.
Right?
Yes.
It's like politics, religion, weather.
Politics, religion,
Root
weather,
talk
sex,
is the one that always
and
stuck with me. Root talk.
Because it's root talk. Last week, Matthew had the flu. And, hey, new listeners, Matthew is my spouse.
Oh, my
Welcome.
gosh. You are full of energy this week, aren't you?
I mean, I had caffeine, but
I
he
did too.
also had...
I want to have coffees.
I had 2 shots of espresso because
Did you make it at home?
it is known, as you say. Yeah, we got one of those little pod dinguses. So
Dude,
make
we got
is
a
a strong
Keurig. We got a
word.
little skinny Keurig for like $80, and it's changed everything. It's all
Oh.
yeah. We pop in this same little bullshit Starbucks dark French roast, like little cup, and everybody loves it. I made iced coffee this morning in that manner.
See, I still, if there was a caffeine tablet that dissolved fast enough, I would still be on that train.
Like a quick acting caffeine.
Yeah.
You don't want just like Reviverin or something. You want something that's really going to kick it right away.
Oh, exactly. And 2 shots of espresso does that for me. Kind of like coffee is my I still can't handle it. I thought as an adult I would enjoy beer.
Sorry. Hard on your tummy or hard on your brain or other?
Oh no, I just don't like the taste.
Okay.
I mean, if I have enough, it's
especially
out
for
my
you,
tummy.
with your
Yeah,
super tasting, it must be crazy bitter.
Oh yes, it's absolutely awesome.
So you're having espresso, the bitterest drink.
Yes. Well, it's also the most effective. Same thing with Malort. If you want to, especially in Chicago, if you want to get like the drunkest, yes, you just throw a couple back. It's gross, but they're both extremely effective. But I'm
coffee.
not.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's. I wish that I could enjoy and savor. Like I want to be one of those people who walks around the house with a little warm mug, and that's not true. I don't want to own a house. Oh Lord, but I want to pretend that I'm like looking out the window and warming my hands with a little mug.
Oh, like a lady in a commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in a Constant Comment commercial or something. Like one of those old-timey I'm having a friend over for coffee commercials.
Yeah, or even just a Folgers.
Like Folgers Crystals.
Yeah, yep. Best part of waking up is Folgers
in your cup.
Crystals.
Billy has discovered Cafe Bustelo, which I can't believe still exists.
What is this?
It's an instant espresso that people like me used to drink in college. And he makes this, he comes home at like 3 or 4 o'clock. He gets home from school and he makes a big ass instant espresso, puts in some milk, and then he's got one of those little things. I don't know. It looks kind of like, I don't know if it's a dentist thing or a sex toy, but it's one of those little foamers with the ring on it.
Oh, yeah. They scare me.
Yeah,
I
don't like them at all.
Ooh.
Cafe Bustelo, instant espresso, living the dream.
I'm on from our iconic yellow coffee can to our sweet and creamy oh God, I hate the word creamy.
I hate the word creamy too.
Creaming. Oh.
You know, the word
This is some
moist,
great
the word
technology talk.
moist doesn't bother me as much as it used to. It used to bother me more.
I think it's kind of like the flu. I think if you're exposed to it enough, yeah. Because
like a teacher or a nurse.
Get sick. Yeah. It's underappreciated and overworked.
Underpaid people who don't get sick.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it has been a while. We're back. Technology. I don't care.
I want to help you slowly squeeze out whatever.
Do you want to do that in the afternoon? Do you want to do it later? Or you want? Okay, we can do. I'll do whatever you want. I don't care. It's not that interesting. It's not that interesting.
Oh God, I don't know if this is ever a bit. When you're like, oh, it's not good, it's not interesting, and then you're like, huh?
So you've got the universal American license on self-effacement. Is that the idea? Like everything you do is self-effacing. Like that's your whole bit.
No, but
so I come in and I say, I'm when the voice that rings. This clarion bell ringing in my head about what a fucking dumb, boring piece of shit I am. You're saying that if I confess to having that feeling, what? That's bad, right?
But it is.
Then it's a bit. It's got to be a bit.
Yes. It's no. But it is almost. Oh, gosh, if soon, hopefully, we will have good voice or like good voice detection in dictation software, not dictation software, but transcription, because it's almost like word for word, and I think it might be some sort of like I don't know, like your.
Maybe it's like a paid endorsement.
Word for word.
Maybe I'm getting money for this.
But
brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Is that a reference?
I have a Power Broker challenge coin. All of my Power Broker merch arrived.
From the Invisible company?
Yeah. I got a shirt. I don't know if this is my first challenge coin. It's the first challenge coin I've cared about, and it's really well done. I got that. I got a shirt. I got a book tote. I got a book tote from Madeline because she's got the book. And what else did I get? Oh, I got some good bookmarks too. It's really, listen to this. It's really heavy. It's solid as hell.
Oh, that's here. Look at.
Oh, is that a challenge coin? What is that?
Yes, these are the two. This is the St. Jude Relay for St. Jude challenge coins from 20.
Oh yeah, I do have that.
2024.
I should curate.
Come
that
on,
stuff
St.
better.
Jude. You're not
Get it together.
Spending money on cancer and not.
I love Delta so much. You don't watch TV, so you probably don't know Delta. Delta is a little girl in their commercials. Yeah, airline. It's a little girl in their commercials who is so cute. It's the cutest little girl. You know, one time I saw a commercial with Stephen and Mary in it.
Steve. Okay, there we go.
Stephen, who's the reason we give so much money to St. Jude. Yeah. The guy I kind of work for, Stephen. Yeah.
The guy you kind of work for.
The point is, the challenge this week, I had noticed. Oh, sorry, are we doing the challenge? Ready?
Yep. Yeah. Challenge.
Hello. I had noticed I forget where, a link to something, probably I think on The Verge somehow, but I noticed two different articles in a short period of time about, I don't know if this is the term of art, but about what I'd seen called no-coding apps. And the idea is there's like a web service of some kind where you go out and whether it's commercial, well, all the ones I've seen are commercial or mostly commercial, but you go out and if you've got some data or some stuff, you can build, would you say that you're building a web app essentially? Because you're not making a binary, right?
I guess so. I mean, I definitely
spoiler alert, I did not deploy any of mine, and I'm going to tell you why.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But the idea is, so here's the thing, first of all, that's the challenge. Do we agree? Make a no coding app, and at least in my head, because I like to give this angle, I'd like to hear your angle. My angle was, geez, Louise, I've got these spreadsheets, especially. I've got all kinds of data sitting around, but I most especially have spreadsheets that I actively maintain. And I was thinking, most of them are like, in most cases, fewer than 100 rows, and usually like 2 or 3 columns that are of any importance. And I instantly was like, oh, of course, that totally makes sense. You're basically going to be fashioning, with the help of this service, you're going to be fashioning an interface that lets you interact with your data the way you want, add new data, stuff like that. And then, I'll pause right there before I get into value judgments. But what was your take on it? What were you hoping to do with it?
I was hoping to just have an easier way to add data to a spreadsheet. Because
that's exactly what I was thinking. That's so interesting, and that's what led me to not deploy it.
I hadn't seen the article that that we referenced in the after show last week, and I got really excited because a constant pain point, like you just said, is getting stuff in there. But especially for me, my brief period of only having a phone and no laptop. Oh, Google Sheets has gotten better.
Oh no, iOS. I'm sorry. In that instance, oh my goodness, you talk about suboptimal.
Yeah,
it's already weird in some ways it is still weird to me to be doing spreadsheets from like an interaction standpoint. It's a weird thing to be doing through the intermediation of a website, because there's a
Yes.
lot of stuff where like through whatever 20, 30, however many years I've been using spreadsheets. I've been using databases and spreadsheets. I was on like Double Helix back in the day and Microsoft Access, but like my experience, especially with spreadsheets over the years, like you really get it in your bones, like how the, and it's just the interaction model is kind of weird, and the key commands don't work exactly the way I would expect, and sometimes the page just falls apart. But I mean, I wouldn't trade Google Sheets for the world. But yes, I'm totally with you. An example of this that will become salient is I still am a daily user of an old app by the visualization guy called Datum, Daytum.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, very, very, it's a beautiful thing. It's like, I think he finished it probably 10 years ago. What's the guy's name? He's the guy that does the year in review. Yeah, I'm not going to look it up. But with that, I can just go in and hit the little plus button, and I get a little on my phone or my Mac or whatever. You get a little JavaScript style like pop up. You enter in the data that you want captured. Now, and like an example of this, and this is one that I see a lot of people using in their public Datum things, is like, let's say you're a fan of beer, like craft beer, and people will make a note of like when they had a certain kind of beer. And like, it'd be one thing to go like, oh, I had 2 cans of Miller Lite. But the real beauty is that you have both. It gets kind of confusing, but you have items and you have categories and you have attributes. So you can have attributes associated with items. So, or like with categories. And so that gives you, I won't go crazy about it, but that I've been using that for years and I still love it. And in fact, I've got a bookmark on my iOS second page, but B, now that you can do this with so easily with Control Center, I've also added a little shortcut in there. So anytime I want to add something to Datum, it's as easy as...
on iOS?
Send me a screen grab. Yeah, on iOS.
Okay.
But it's like a bookmark. Is there anything embarrassing here? I don't think so. I'll send this to you. I'm clicking. Actually, it sounds like we could sort of almost get past all the mouth words and just get straight to what the slightly amazing but incredibly frustrating thing about these. And I'm curious because it sounds like we might both think it sounds like we've already stipulated to what makes us go, I don't know, I wouldn't be all in on this because ...
Oh yeah. Well, the one, oh gosh, where is it?
So the thing I sent you. Oh yeah, Glide. Oh yeah. So now let me start bitching. Now Glide. I don't care what it's called. If you feel like doing show notes for this, that would be awesome. But I've got to get out of the business of saying I'm going to do show notes because it's just not going to work out time wise. If you wanted to add notes, that would be awesome. But sorry, folks. For a while, we just want to I really just want to get the thing out. But
stay on the horse.
Stay on target. Yeah, and stay on horse.
Stay on horse.
I sent you that screen grab, but you go to Glide Apps or whatever it's called. You go there, and it becomes... You know how like you can get into look at Google Docs, you get into Google Sheets, and like there is obviously a very heavy enterprise like business component to it, but you it's like getting into like Zoho or like any of those, or for that matter, even obviously any Salesforce clone, like where you're like Glide, you immediately get the sense, oh, this is for an aspiring small business.
It's a B2B. If immediately,
but like I say aspiring because I don't think this is something that a lot of people at Procter and Gamble are going to be using in the field. I think it's something where you're like, I need a way, but like all of their templates, and there are many, many templates, wouldn't you say, are like all about like strictly business stuff that you certainly could adapt. You could adapt an inventory list from their business templates to be a way of keeping track of stuff at your house. But you could tell the approach that, if I could say, it seems to me the approach that they have taken is very much, hey, are you a business person that wants to make an app out of your data? Well, here's how we can help you with that. And, so I struggled to find the stuff I even wanted.
Influencer? This is do you want to also hey.
What? How?
So if you go to, we're talking about the same thing.
Glide.
Go.glide. Like if
GlideApps.com.
Yeah. And And so it asks, like, what are you using this for? And my work, school, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. So let me see. Peer referral. I don't even know what that means. So it is asking you what you want to use it for. And I'm like, all right, so this feels like I'm like, wait, is this like a Notion type thing?
Can I correct myself? I apologize because I might be confusing the templates in the Google app version of this, which is called what? AppSheet or something like that?
Yeah, app.
That might be the one I'm thinking of that has all the enterprisey stuff. But
they both do, I believe. Let me open the app.
I may not have noticed the influencer stuff. The stuff I saw was all things like the classics that you would get like as templates with any kind of a database program. Who wants to reserve the conference room, performance reviews, all that kind of like HR and resource management adjacent stuff. I didn't even see that much project management stuff. It was really about more like, at least in my impression of it, because you can guess what I was looking for. It's all the stuff I'm always looking for with these sorts of things. But go ahead.
Well, and with the it's like you have the or at least for I was trying to do another like little mood tracking app, and there's the data, and then the data and the layout, and I'm like, okay, so this is just and
it's very easy to use these. Like you get like in your browser, you're getting like a fake iPhone where you can just move the buttons around and basically be using it almost like the what's it called, emulator, like where it really does feel like you're kind of like you're seeing what the app will be like. And that's all. Both of these great, fast, easy. If you do want to make, I don't know, for the sake of argument, make your own contact app, which let's set aside whether that's a good idea. You can just whip that up in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's, if you wanted to make, a good example that might be just not for me because I have other things for this, but tracking movies or books. I think, again, of stuff like Delicious Library. Like, it's the kind of thing where, like,
RIP,
you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, you know what I mean? It's pretty fast to whip that kind of thing together.
Yeah. In fact, you can go through. I wonder if it'll publish right now, but you can. But I still, for me at least, I don't know. It was not any more useful or faster than what I use. I use Chronicling, which is an iOS app. Yeah,
that's all. I think there's one woman that does that whole thing.
Yes, Rebecca, she's cool. Amazing. Yeah. Yes. Rebecca Owen, friend of the show, delightful. And it's this app. Do you
know her?
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's great. And I
talked to her on Mastodon a while back, but like I just really admire. I like it's one of those editorial apps. Like I like the decisions that she's made about it.
Yeah, well,
it does something. Just to be clear, I was talking earlier about Datum, DAYTUM. I would say it's kind of similar to that, right? When you think it's a way of like identifying, here's the kind of thing I want to like track or count, especially like and she's really set it up to fit some use cases that are like a real person would want.
Oh, see, I mean, I don't disagree, but I would say it's almost even more like it's extremely lightweight. It does have an opinion about how it's built the same way Datum does.
Yeah. But
the way that I interact with it in terms of data input is purely with shortcuts. Like this is the one app that actually works with shortcuts for me and widgets. So
it helps if they've done a lot of the work.
Yes.
The app, you know what I mean? Because there are some where you're like, you could give somebody these five arbitrary apps and go like, and they could go like, oh, well, these are all like fine. But you're like, yeah, but this one of those 5 comes with a built-in, I don't know what you call it, library dictionary of like so many integrations with shortcuts that really utterly changes the way you use it, but you are going to have to be okay with using shortcuts, which can be frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm still going to recommend this though now because of the interactive widgets. But that was kind of the thing with using the glide stuff where I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't also I was like, ooh, putting my data in here, like
this is our concern, dude. This is exactly the main thing that I wanted to talk about, because while I agree, and my observation is not intended in any way as saying, well, don't use these, but it was one of these challenges that's been cool because it's and I'll talk about this later when we talk about ChatGPT. I think it's so beneficial when you can use something. I'm trying to make this as abstract as possible. I think it's really beneficial when you have any kind of an experience, including using an app or a service, that while it didn't give you what you wanted, what you thought you wanted, what you hoped for, it definitely does give you clarity about what it is you actually want. Which sounds silly. It sounds so silly, but like sometimes, you got to have the wrong boyfriend to realize what kind of boyfriend you want in life. And even, in this instance, that's a silly example, but I realized that there were some more significant things involving data that made this not really right for me, even as great as it could be for somebody who does decide to go all in on it, I suppose.
I want to hear about what you.
I got stuff to say. I got stuff to say.
Okay, yeah. I would just say, like, I had this realization of, I'm like, why am I so about putting my data into this when I, pour all of my stuff into
where is the squick from privacy and integrity things, or where did your squick about that come from?
The thing I've realized, if there is something where there's a huge data, like if there's a huge security breach on Google or even like ChatGPT, that is a big enough deal that people understand, those companies have the resources to deal with that, whereas I don't know.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, because say what you will, but Google's seems to have a pretty good handle on protecting your stuff in the way that you authenticate and keeping that. It seems anyway more so than Johnny Backyard developer.
Right. And so
you could have an AWS bucket sitting out there that has your undoing in it.
The
you know what I'm saying?
It just sounds funny. Yeah.
Bucket. I love the
this
word
is my bucket. It's my mood bucket.
I got into my bucket. Eating all my seed corn.
That ended up being the only thing, really. I'm like, this is too much. And also, it is really, yes, it's pretty easy to put together, but also if this goes away, it's not even so much because you can get your data out of it too, but then you're building a routine around something that,
totally
think about
agree.
Quicksilver. I finally stopped using Quicksilver, and it
I think he doesn't recommend it, but Syracuse, I think, still uses it.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, but and Spotlight has gotten really good.
My Spotlight settings are all fucked up. I don't know what I've done. I think I got too cute with taking out. I didn't want to see the .h files and then this and the that and this, and now I hardly get anything in there. And I just have to go to the Finder.
Ooh.
But no, I agree. But I want to get faster at Spotlight and the Finder. But I agree with you. Spotlight has gotten really good.
Well, and there are just a few, I miss some of the automation type stuff, so I feel like I have an excuse to get fiddly with Raycast or Alfred, and both of those have been, I feel like, around long enough that I'm not my excuse to play with them. At least like I will figure out what I want, and that's when I play with apps like Glide. I'm like, I guess I want something like that. Kind of like you. I'm like, all right, I see how this would be extremely useful, but I don't want to think about it.
Like, is there a thing that you have fairly specifically wanted for a long time that this might be able to do? Or, and this might be a pivot to the rant I'd like to do in a minute, or is this something where you could end up spending a fair amount of time making an island of data? That you know what I mean? That now kind of only exists inside that app's world? And that's where my squick comes from, ultimately. And I have a rant about this.
That's kind of why that's also like why I adore Obsidian and anything with Markdown. We've talked about for decades. Like there's
it's just little skinny text
Markdowns.
files just sitting around, and they're very easy to. They're portable. They're readable. Like there's nothing not to love about it.
But I will say this about Glide that did impress me. You can get your data in and out pretty relatively. Like I didn't have enough or didn't put enough into it, enough time, but like you can get almost everything out and in and out via a CSV that is actually readable, not just like, one of those services
but like
that
it's an overt
out.
act to get your data quote in and out, right?
Yes.
And even if you could automate that, it's still different from being the data set you've been using and trusting for years.
Yes.
And that's where I got a little hung up.
Please go. I think we have some. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my rant.
Upon your rant.
I'm gonna try and do this. I'm gonna try this in 2 minutes, but don't time me.
Squeeze it out. Yeah.
Okay. And then put some alcohol on it because that's how if you got a stress bump.
Yes.
The 2 apps I've already mentioned here are good examples of this. Delicious Library. Or let's talk about contacts and calendar stuff, because like there was a time not even all that long ago. Well, let's go back all the way to the days of being on a Palm, for example, where again that's a tool that's designed for business people, and so when you had your Palm, you put it on this dock. The dock would go with the serial cable to your Mac. And then there was some, if memory serves, there was some kind of weird like middleware that would like let it talk to Outlook or whatever. But long story short, like if you wanted your contacts to be on your Palm, and you did, if you wanted your contacts to be on your Palm and on your Mac, you had to sync it regularly. So, and that's so like, it worked okay. It wasn't great, but this is before the cloud. This is before even like syncing the way we think about it today. I'll come to this in a second. I'll speed this up. But like there was a time like when I was the 43 folders guy where I was forever testing different apps for calendars and contacts. In each case, each time I would have to export all of my data from one place, import it into the other. And then what am I going to do? Have 4 different apps for that? Because let's just say like even into the 2000s, so when there were ways to sync between, say, as I crazily did, between me.com or between whatever the Mac thing, me.com or whatever, trying to get my synced contacts from there to work with my synced contacts from Gmail. Oh my God, I had an app for this and it was a mess because I really wanted it in both places. I wanted it on my Mac because that's where I did a bunch of stuff, but I absolutely wanted it also in Gmail because that's where I did all my mail. And like, I guess you could argue about whether that's even a smart thing to do, but that was the state of things. And few things are more intolerable than having different sets of data in different places and not knowing what state they're in. But the stake in the ground I'm trying to put here is that syncing even of calendars and contacts, getting that to work in a way that you don't have to think about and that you can trust, that is a fairly recent development. I think even in my kid's life, there have been times where, shit, dog, look at like, apps like Even Drafts or most annoyingly Notes. Notes will not, on your phone or your Mac, will not sync up until you open it. which is great to discover right after your plane is taken off. But like,
exactly.
But like, there were times where I would try and do a full sync of my contacts because I was going on a trip, and then everything would get borked. I'd have to start over. I'd have to go to a backup. Why am I saying this? Like now, well, first I want to just give some context if anybody's interested that it's awesome that works now, whether that's through whatever service you have that just seamlessly pushes changes correctly to different places. It's fantastic to have that. But yeah, there was a time where you could be creative and go make all these different apps and put all this stuff in it. But like, it wasn't very fun to have to deal with all of that. You kind of had to decide, what's that phrase Steve or Tim used, the cloud is the truth or whatever. Like you had to you had to really ride on all of that, and it was not very fun. So you could very much make fun of me today for any variety of reasons. But one of them is I use 4 or 5 different calendar apps in different places at different times because it's all the same data set. It's all just my Gmail calendar stuff, right? Or it's all just my Gmail mail stuff. Like it's been years, knock on wood, since I've had a problem with sync on any of that stuff. But that's a fairly new development. Okay, but here's the thing now, pivoting. For however many years, I've been obsessed with spreadsheets. So I'm comfortable in spreadsheets. Like it makes sense to my brain. And fast forward, I gotta say, I think remember what I said a minute ago, how like sometimes you use something and while it didn't do what you hoped or thought it would do, it does make you realize something. That has been a huge thing for me using ChatGPT, where I ask for what I think I want and then it gives me something and I realize anyway, that's a different conversation. But similar thing here. I love the idea of being able to make your own quote unquote app, but I don't want all of that stuff to reside somewhere other than where it already is. Which, for the sake of argument, let's just say Google Sheets. Now, here's the thing. Google Sheets, that's highly automatable. That's highly hook-upable. Like, there's a whole bunch of API shit where you can, like, have a world of different things and Google Sheets talk to each other. It could be something as not very intelligent as if this, then that. Or, you look at, the way you can hook it up with, like, the the OpenAI playgrounds, where, like, they really do sort of work together. So I made an app for this challenge. I made an app for Celebrity Heights because I have that data set. What was my other app I made? I made another one for, what I tried to make in Glide is the bike log of yore. Remember the bike log project?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, in fairness, here is one really cool thing I think about. I don't know how well this works in practice, but I think this is neat. Inside of Glide, you say start from template. Do you want a basic template, an AI generated, or blank? AI generated. Did you try this?
No.
So you go in and you describe what it is that you want to make.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so in that instance, I forget. I don't know if it'll even show me what I had said to create it, but I think I said something like, I want to time-stamped, I want to be able to add a sentence or two to a log, and I wanted to remember my exact location with GPS and let long, and add a Unix timestamp, something like that. And it did an okay, good job with that, but that ain't a Mac app. That ain't an iOS app. It does not natively pull in stuff like location, right? And so immediately I'm like, I'm not so sure. Just for shits and giggles, I went into ChatGPT and did the same thing. And it made me something really cool. At first it made me give me all the directions for a project to do what I wanted in Xcode. Right. But then it also gave me I said, well, can you put this all into one, give it to me in pigs and bunnies. And it gave me several different ways to make it. Eventually I even asked it if I could make it in JavaScript, and it made me a big ass JavaScript file and said, now you're going to need these to go to Brew or whatever, get these 2 libraries. But so I need a location library to do that, all understandable stuff. And honestly, just to even be at the point where that's possible is absolutely incredible. But clearly what I want is something that leverages the iOS stuff. This may come up in the after show when we talk about, quote, tasks and reminders in ChatGPT, where I think all the interesting, quote unquote, task management with this new feature or reminders is kind of dumb. And the idea of having timed jobs is fascinating. But I'm sorry. This is really a dumb rant. But
No,
but while I was doing this, what I was realizing is like, I like the fact that all my data, and this is another thing where I've been incepted by ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has not many formal limitations in what data I can hook to other data, right? So like, for example, off the dome, I did one the other day where I wanted to make a little table of all the different folding knives that I have, like pocket knives.
Oh, yes.
Well, I went to my Amazon purchasing page, did a search on knife in my history, did a screen grab of that. It was able to pull all that stuff in, figure out what it was, and I was able to say, I want you to turn this into a table where the columns are knife, brand name, and URL, something like that. And it was very easy to do that. And I said, okay, well, now add another column for price. Now, you smart bears, smarter than the average bear people out there, are going to go, well, wait a minute. Just because you said add a column for that, okay, great. Well, that's an empty column. No, it's not. It goes in and looks all that up and populates it, fills it in for you. And so like that has spoiled me, Alex. The ability to do stuff like that, which goes all the way back to whatever 2 years ago when I was saying like, now add a column for whether they were in a Harry Potter movie, that kind of thing. It understands context so well and does a good enough job at finding data and filling in. I was doing this last night with my King Gizzard playlist I was putting together last night. I'm so addicted to that ability to synthesize, combine, and act upon different data sets that like I just have a block at the point of, well, go make an app and the data sets in that. And it made me realize kind of what I really want. This is not a thing, but what I really want, how's that phrase we used to use, middleware? Like where you've got your tech stack over here, and then you have the thing that connects these things together. What I really want is a way to just build an interface that turns into a phone app, but keeps all of my stuff exactly where it was before. And a la ChatGPT, I wish it had that ad hoc ability to just know what I mean when I say, well, now correlate that with my sleep. Which sounds nuts to like a normal person who's in the enterprise. But like, do you know what I mean? I love that ability to now these days create a project where I put all of my health data and it'll correlate the shit out of whatever I want. And like, that was my hang up a little bit, was this ends up, as cool as these services are, it feels a little dated.
Yeah, that's dated is a
and
yeah,
that dated. I don't mean dated as in like it's something from the Kennedy administration. I mean dated as in like this would have been the coolest shit functionally or like UI wise and all that. Like God, even at the beginning of Web 2.0, could you ever imagine you'd have web apps that could do this? It's bananas to think about. But dated in the sense of like even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this might have seemed pretty cool to me in a way that I would more fulsomely explore, but I'm now such a pill about wanting all my data stuff to be in the same place. I'm much more, let me put it this way, I'm much more likely, because sometimes getting ChatGPT to integrate with Google is, you're better off doing it on your Mac and having it interact with your local apps on your Mac, which you can do now.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I haven't tried it with numbers, but I imagine it could do that with numbers. And I think it can do stuff like add rows and things like that, I believe. But like, that's the thing is like, it's data first at this point. And knowing that if the data stuff is all over here, then I can at once be data first and synthesis first. Like they both get to be okay and they get to not screw with each other. And like starting with building an app and then filling it in with stuff has no appeal to me.
Yes, that data. Okay, that's
took a while.
I don't have anything good.
Took 11 minutes. I checked because it was exactly noon when it started. Over.
Here, but and here's I think another layer to that for me as well is I am more open to trying other things that aren't necessarily
absolutely
the best designed like a native iOS app or a native Mac app.
You have a much more restless curiosity about just trying a new thing than I do, and I do admire it. Like I think it's valuable that like you do and will follow your nose. In a way that like, whereas I'm more like, until I know more about why that's worth doing, I'm not going to do that. And you seem more fearless about jumping in.
Well, but the only time, I guess the only way I do that comfortably now is with the data first idea, because, if I am just throwing all of my stuff in there, like, all right, cool, it seems to work, but like you, I'm like, oh, this doesn't really work the way I want to. It was a simple one, kind of going back to not have natural language parsing with certain apps for calendar or task things. I'm like,
it makes you feel like a caveman,
fine.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. And the way that like you can throw all of the markdown stuff into Obsidian or like trying out Notion was easy, like throwing all that stuff in. It's easier, and I think opens up the way you think, or even your imagination, when you can have all of your data, but will play around in something that you're unfamiliar with because it's like a Electron or something. And that, like, I mean, I don't know. Even just, I have been using spreadsheets and JSON so much more. Like, it was a bit that, like, also that, doing Python now. But having, having just the, like, code live basically in, not really like a markdown file, but having Obsidian able to talk to, I don't use it enough, Copilot. Just like knowing that is
really,
all there,
that's
and it
cool.
has synced with everything.
Was Copilot an overarching name for a service? It's not an app. Like, you get Copilot in VS Code, but Copilot is their overall, like.
Yeah, it's like the for dummies, or if you want, like the for dummies kind of wrapper with it, and then you can do
for dummies. What that mean?
Because I'm a ding-a-ling, and I'm like, please, this is my ad.
Oh, I'm sorry, FOR dummies. I thought you were referring. I thought it was like the Four Tempers or the Four Seasons.
Yeah, it was the extra stooge.
The secret stooge.
Yeah. Oh boy. But I don't know, when it's more fiddly to try like new stuff, but if you're using the actual, the data that I've compulsively collected for years, like yep. It's honestly, I've been for years, it's like, people are asking, like, why do you need that? When are you going to use it? And the answer is now for me, really. Like, decades of like medication stuff, and like, oh, wow, that's really helpful to know that the time I was in the hospital this time, I was on this type of medication, or I had like some allergic reaction to something, and having that data set now, along with silly things like what comic books I was reading in college. And
you're absolutely nailing it. That is absolutely the dream for me. Like, and we talked about it so much, but like all that health data, all that sort of ambiently collected data, like I want it all. I mean, basically every piece of data in my life that has a timestamp, or, you can just say date, like a person, but like any dated and timed piece of information in my life, I absolutely want to be able to call all of that into the stew and like have it all be related. Even if it's not a relationship that's of value to anybody else, it's still, I mean, like, have you ever had to look up when you flew somewhere, or don't you go to Gmail and look for the ticket? Like, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. I realized I want to have I want to try and use things that will manipulate stuff, but I don't want more buckets of where things are stored, because it's Gmail is still I guess like one bucket.
that's in my parlance, that's why I keep saying, or will 3 times a year say something like, I don't want another inbox. I don't want a data
Yes.
inbox. I don't want an emotional inbox. I don't want a physical inbox. I am the one who decides which inboxes are allowed in my life. And like another problem related, I don't want to catastrophize, but a project like the kind we're talking about, where you get so ambitious on creating an app, for example, like, oh, what's this project about? This project is this. I heard this thing on Due by Friday. I'm going to go make an app. Totally cool. Like I would be honored if you all got, if you got the, I don't know words anymore. If you're inspired to like create your own little no code app, I think that would be really cool. But let me cut right to the chase. If I go into this project, and again, no aspersion on an app thing, it's just, this is like my galaxy brain thing is like, well, if I go into this and I think that this project is going to be, let's go create an app, even if that's just how it starts, I may be resistant to very subtle cues that this project really shouldn't be about making an app. Like if we were going to be a little bit philosophical about this, well, rather than saying like, here's this cool thing. And this is one reason I quit being a productivity guy. I mean, again, separate podcasts, but like, just telling people how to find more efficient ways to waste their life is not a way to become productive. But in my instance, like it's so great to very quickly, I didn't have to go and learn Xcode and make an app to discover that it's not what I wanted. What I was able, as an amateur, I can go in and with ChatEG, I'll discover pretty quickly like what the landscape is for doing the thing that I would like to do. And accordingly, guess what? Over half of the shit in the world that comes along, you don't have to do. But how long does it take you to figure that out? Right? See also email. If you know you're not going to respond to an email, why are you still feeling bad about it? Well, because you're allowing that cognitive dissonance to be part of your life. If you decide it's more about like, I want to learn app development. Well, for what? Learn to code. But like, ChatGPT in particular has just become so important for me in learning these kinds of things very quickly. And I don't know if it would be best. Actually, we're running a little long here. Maybe this would be better for the after show. But here's real quick. Can I do another quick rant?
Please.
Rant? Okay. So like of course, I'm always looking for ways to have ChatGPT help me out with things I do. I created a project called Reconcilable Differences, and I threw a bunch of stuff into it, right? And it did a pretty good job at doing the kinds of things I want, which just in a large pattern. Reconcilable Differences is another podcast I do. And one of my jobs on that show is to do the show notes, by which I mean to, in the end, yes, write up the description for the show, but that also means trying to figure out what titles exist as potential titles, what titles then, editorially, what titles are good, what links should be in here, are they in the right order, let alone the little shuck and jive shit I do along the way, like creating a supercut of John Syracuse saying the word scrabble 40 times in an hour. Scrabbling. But you follow, like, I'm not saying boohoo, like Merlin's got a tough job. I don't. I love my job. But it has helped ChatGPT, and I work together on this, and I learn more about what it could do for me, what it has done for me, what I don't actually need it to do for me. And like anybody with any sense, you learn what the tool is good for. So, I mean, I go into it thinking things like, I want to be able to continue feeding Descript and ChatGPT previous titles of episodes. Because then I can give it the instructions, which are like, suggest titles for this episode. It should be a funny or unique thing that someone said. It has to be literal, 2 to 6 words, no more than 47 characters. And here's 30 titles to like inspire you. And believe it or not, Descript does a pretty good job with that, as does ChatGPT. It's really satisfying when it has picked out the same titles that John and I picked out while we were recording. But anyway, the point is, all that data in there is really effective. And I'm no Syracuse. I am not overly concerned with whether and when we talked about something before, but it's very handy to know, if not least because you can link to a previous episode, or pivoting, you can find a link to something that you linked to when you talked about it on that episode. That is not a deeply straightforward thing to do on any website. My tool historically, which I still use every day, site:, dobyfriday.com, Falcon. if I want to find the right. So, I mean, which is great. And it works just fine. Long story short. So I started doing this thing where I wanted all these titles. And then I keep getting frustrated because ChatGPT's relationship to things on the web, I can't quite get a bead on like what it really can do or will do, but it feels like I should be able to point it to relay.fm/RD and say, give me every title of the show we've ever had. Blah, blah, blah. Here's 5. I'll do more. No, that's all I got. Okay. Well, here's the RSS feed. Could you pull all of that down? And then eventually you do the brute force, which is you just copy the entire thing, you paste it in. And in my case, I say, usually if you're saying something as simple as give me all of these titles in chronological order, it does a pretty good job. But as long as I'm doing that, why don't I go a little bit further? And I'm like, and this is where the collaboration gets good because I know just enough to be dangerous. So one thing I did was I went in and I said to ChatGPT, here's the thing I want to do. And I explained what I wanted to do. And then what that became was like, what's the fastest way for me to download every detail page for the podcast? And it gave me a bunch of different solutions. It's like, you can go get this site sucker. I think I ended up doing wget, like from the command line. And I said, well, give me the command for that. And blah, 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 blah. It gave it all to me. Might have ended up being, the awk came a little later. It downloaded all of those. And then I said, the name of these files is the episode number of the show. How do I know of cat, but like, what's the way, what I want you to do is take all of these different files.
Wait, is cat
concatenate in
thank
Bash.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cat's just an easy way. Like cat can mean lots of different things, but cat, I think, cat often means just show this to me. It's almost like the way, it's almost like saying write it just to the terminal. Shut up, Syracuse. I don't fucking care. But like what I was able to do, long story short, is this whole journey was assisted by ChatGPT. And what I ended up with, I want to be able to get all of the stuff from show notes from previous episodes into the show. I want to eventually get all the transcripts of every episode into the show. And if you can't conceivably figure out why I would want that, that's okay. I'm not going to go into it here, but if you think with half a brain for a minute, you can understand why that's valuable for a variety of reasons. But how do I do that? Well, the transcript stuff is still a ways off. I'm not going to blow all my Descript credit for the next 5 years on that, and Mac Whisper's not really up to it yet, as we talked about on Slack. But here's what I have, is I have 251 .html files. And basically, it wouldn't handle it if I dropped it in as 251 files, understandably. What I ended up with, this is all ChatGPT doing the work, it gave me the commands that I needed. I said, I want you to go through all of these files, and I want you to cat those into a new file where the title of the episode, the name and number of the episode is going to be an H2 that you append to each section. Below that is going to be the content of the div called foo. So like, and again, this is not a no-touch application, and you have to know a little bit about spans and IDs and stuff like that. Did it flawlessly. From the command line.
Seriously?
Just spat the entire thing out. I uploaded it, and now I had it all in one place. Now, I want to just clarify. Second, it's awesome that it has enough ability with the content that I care about, which is what John and I said and did and recorded. But first, it also, the one thing maybe that it's better at than almost anything is stuff involving scripting and technology. And even if it can't, it'll give you, say, okay, there's 3 ways we could do that. And then you're like, well, I bought SiteSucker, and it was one of those kind of confusing apps. But the wget or eventually then it used a lot of awk to like do the stuff that I needed. It totally spit the whole thing out. I guess I can't contain my excitement for this approach to things. There's that third reason of sometimes I learn I shouldn't be doing this at all. But the first reason is it's good at a lot of stuff I need help with. And second, it's good at dealing with the stuff, the things, the data that I care about. And that's really exciting to me.
I was having an argument with our friend the other day, just how everything that most LLMs are capable of is like the middle of the road. And I'm like, yeah, I'm at the very, very beginning in terms of manipulating this type of data. I don't know what to do with 250 HTML files, but this thing sure can help me with it. And your enthusiasm, I think, just emphasizes how
you got to just tell it what you want. Like, don't be
Yes,
cute about
and
it. It's like when I used to be on with Xfinity's support, I'd always want to show that I'm really smart, and I would end up with the XY problem. And I can't tell you how often I just keep dumbing down and dumbing down and not dumb, but simplifying what it is that I want. Like, rather than saying, tell me how to cat all of these files into a thing. That's an XY problem, because maybe that's not the solution. What I really would want to say is I want one HTML styled HTML document that like blah, 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 this and that. And that's where you really benefit. If you need to get more specific and tell it, in my case, I just kind of got frustrated because I was like, look, I'm in inspect element. I can see that this is what I want. It's unique to the page. Why is that a problem? Well, eventually I just gave it a little more cues. And you know what? And here's the thing, back to part 3, is if it hadn't worked, I would walk away. It's fine because we're just not there yet. And maybe it's not important enough for me to blow half a day on, but I love the relationship that the Chatty G and I have developed for that combination of both. Do you watch Severance?
Oh, fuck you. Do you not know me? I apologize. Continue. Yes, I do watch Severance.
Take that as a yes.
Yes, I do watch
I linked to
Severance.
something yesterday on Blue Sky that's a really good, very well done. Hey, here's everything you might have forgotten from season 1 of Severance that included a bunch of shit I totally didn't notice. But one of the things the guy did at the top was say, like, look, I'm not a scientist, but I've looked into this a little bit. Here's the different kinds of memory, right? There's like two different kinds of memory, but you got the second kind of memory, which is like episodic versus semantic. So, like the guy says, if somebody handed you a glass of water, you wouldn't say, what is this? And pour it on your head. You know how to drink a glass of water. You know what Delaware is, but you don't know.
I have a drinking problem.
Yeah. Hey, but you don't know the color of your mother's eyes because that's a different kind of memory. Oh, I'm holding my hands up in the air like the scales of liberty. Over here, I've got, in my right hand, I shouldn't put the cap in my left pocket. In my right hand over here, I got all the shit I care about. If you like the data, but the stuff, whether that's Elizabeth Debicki's height or foods that John has a strong opinion about. Because I can ask it now. I can now ask it, tell me the foods that John has a very strong opinion about. And it'll do that. That's all over here in my right hand. It's all my data.
So cool.
And then over here in my left hand is all the means for doing those kinds of things, for correlating that data, and for doing stuff like I said last night, where like I just gave it a screenshot of my King Giz playlist. It scraped the screen grab to turn it into links. I gave it 2 prompts about how to format it, and it was done. That would have taken me over an hour on my own. And instead, I got to manage it rather than shovel it. So that left hand that does all the shoveling is very important. The stuff being shoveled over here in my right hand, that's what makes my life worth living. Plus you.
There we go. I think that's the end. That's the end.
I'm gonna hit the bell with my challenge coin. Is that all right? I've never tried this. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Say something funny. Okay, that's good. Woo! A very heavy coin.